We've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace.
Joe Biden was a doormat. Everybody, including Ukraine, walked all over us, okay? Besides Trump is a matador.
We are fighting for our own freedom.
Then
so
you should be mad at the people that want to push them into NATO.
Question.
We have actual enemies, and Russia is not one of them.
There is a lot of bullshit swirling around about this war.
It's quite unusual and quite scary for me to land as an American citizen and being told that now the American state is going to be set on me.
If that's not the same weaponization of the justice system that Biden was doing to Trump, then what is it?
He makes the left's case for it. This guy shows up and says, I'm a real man, I beat on women. And the right is like, yeah, right on, this is a real man. It's disgusting.
You keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now.
It is reputed she has spent under 6 hours in the county in her entire lifetime.
God, man, watch who you marry.
Andrew and Tristan Tate are now under criminal investigation in Florida. Ben Shapiro has launched a campaign to free George Floyd's killer, which Elon Musk says is something to think about. And Meghan Markle's new Netflix show is less popular than Ebola. Well, we'll get to all of that in a second half of the show, but we begin with the vital olive branch from President Trump last night to President Zelensky.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Well, it's fair to say before his congressional address that relations between the US and Ukraine had hit rock bottom. The Oval Office blowout led to the US pausing all military aid to Ukraine, leaving it in a desperate and dangerous limbo. And on Wednesday, CIA Director John Ratcliffe announced that intelligence sharing with Ukraine had also been paused to pressure its government to cooperate with the Trump administration's plans to end the country's war with Russia. No matter where you stand on America's involvement in foreign wars, this is clearly a crucial reset. Nobody, including Trump, wants Putin to declare war victory here. Everyone, especially Trump, wants the war to end. The question is whether this week's diplomatic mayhem has made a breakthrough more or less likely. Well, joining me now, a decorated Iraq veteran and commentator Rob Smith, Macer Gifford, a British veteran of the Ukrainian Army, angry patriot Vinny Oshana from the PBD podcast, and from the Free Press, the author of Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women, Batya Ungar Sargon, and also the People's Deputy of Ukraine, Kira Rudik. Well, welcome to all of you. Kira, let me start with you, if I may. What is your response to what appeared to be a clear olive branch from President Trump to President Zelensky last night?
Hello, Piers, and thank you so much for having me. Well, we were surprised to see what we have seen today when America stopped the intelligence provision to Ukraine after President Trump was so clearly saying that the relations are getting warmer, right? One has to wonder, was it all planned beforehand and just executed right now? And the question is, why is pressure being put on Ukraine and not on Russia? Who is the aggressor here? And how many people are being sentenced to death right now by this decision of pulling the intelligence, of pulling the aid?
Yeah, I mean, Rob Smith, first of all, thank you for your service. Obviously, you're a decorated Iraq veteran. I have great respect for that. What people seem a bit baffled by, me included, is that you can be putting pressure on Ukraine to come and do a peace deal for obvious reasons that make a lot of sense. I actually think that Trump's overview of where the war is completely accurate. I think he genuinely wants to forge peace here. What people have been taken aback by is that he's quite happy to call Zelensky a dictator and then withdraw that and keep attacking him and humiliate him in the Oval Office and so on, whilst maintaining a position of never appearing to criticize Vladimir Putin at all, despite the fact that it was Putin, of course, and his Russian forces who invaded 3 years ago.
Well, I will say this, first of all, thanks for having me, Piers. First of all, it's not probably a good choice to criticize and to be really hard on the person that has basically the upper hand between Ukraine and Russia, which is Putin, right? So that's first of all. And second of all, I think that what people need to understand is that the people that were quote unquote taken aback by Trump's behavior towards Zelensky, by Trump's behavior towards the Ukraine, seem to be political commentators, seem to be people that were in support of just never ending this war, okay? I am somebody that voted for Trump, and I voted for this. I voted for strong leadership. I voted for somebody to hold Zelensky accountable. I voted for somebody to stop this endless sea of American taxpayer dollars that have been going to Ukraine for the past 3 years to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. The only people that are surprised by this behavior are the people that have become used to weak leadership in this country. The people who have become used to somebody like former President Biden, and a lot of the people that were advising him being run all over by Zelensky, by the people of Ukraine, by the people that supported this nonstop funding of American tax dollars to this country. President Trump has said very strongly and has sent very strong signals through his words and through his actions that not only does he want this war to end, but that we will not continue to send endless amounts of American taxpayer dollars to this country.
Okay, before I go to Macer to respond, though, do you, Rob Smith, think Vladimir Putin's a dictator?
I do, personally, yes.
Okay, well, I think that's an important thing to say. I think that lost in all this is the fact that obviously Putin is a dictator. Macer Gifford.
And Piers, can I just make it? Yeah. I just want to make it clear that number one, I do think that Putin is a dictator. I do think that Russia is very aggressive. I do not agree with a lot of the stuff. I am in no way on the side of Russia at all. I know that that's a talking point that, and I'm not saying you did this, Piers, but I know that a lot of Democrats that want this forever aid to go to Ukraine like to say that anybody that is critical of nonstop U.S. taxpayer dollars going to Ukraine is some
I get
sort
that,
of
and I don't
Putin,
disagree with Trump on that. I don't. Yeah, I think
right.
the war is at a terrible virtual stalemate where for 8-9 months now all that's happened is both sides killing vast numbers of the other side in rolling open flat fields, and this is reminiscent of World War I to many military eyes. Let me bring in Macer Gifford. You're a British veteran and you've been in the Ukrainian Army as well. What do you say to Rob Smith, also a fellow veteran who has a strong view in the way he's articulated? What's your response to that?
Well, I'd say that America needs to start looking to its values. It needs to start remembering who the victim is here in this conflict. Russia brutally invaded a European sovereign nation on the edge of Europe, a democracy, a country that ranks far higher on the freedom indexes than Russia, and they are brutalizing this beautiful country. I was on the front line, particularly in the south and around Kherson. I fought with the 131st Separate Reconnaissance Battalion, and I saw with my own eyes the extraordinary bravery of the Ukrainian people who are fighting not only for their homes, but for their lives against a genocidal regime that is determined to take all of Ukraine. And the big problem we've got here is Donald Trump he's come in to the White House with a sledgehammer, and he is absolutely trashing a political system, a world system that America has benefited from and actually built itself after the Second World War. We are entering a very dangerous phase of international relations, and I truly hope Donald Trump sees sense and starts to remember exactly the foundational values that America was built on.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is now proudly independent. If you like the show, we ask for only one thing. Subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now let's get straight to the point. Support for today's show comes from a business focused on a critical issue: prosperity. US national debt is at crisis levels, inflation has made life more expensive for everybody, and the stock market is precarious. It's enough to make anyone's financial future feel grim. So what is the solution? Well, a simple one is to opt out of the chaos and invest in something solid and reliable: physical gold and silver. And there's only one name you need to remember: American Hartford Gold. This company has earned the trust of thousands of customers with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and glowing reviews you can see for yourself. They offer an incredible range of gold and silver bars and coins. They can be delivered directly to your door, or they'll help you set them up in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. First-class customer service makes the whole process simple, secure, and straightforward. American Hartford Gold is committed to getting the truth out there and giving you peace of mind in uncertain times. And if that wasn't enough, you'll get up to $15,000 worth of free silver when you make your first purchase and mention my name, Piers. So make the smart move. Call 866-692-2474 or text Piers, that's P-I-E-R-S, to 65532. That's 866-692-2474 or text Piers to 65532. All the details are in the description. Now on with the show. Okay, Vinny, let me bring you in.
What I would like to say
here
as an American is that we certainly don't need any lectures from people that have been taking hundreds of billions of dollars of our taxpayer dollars, like welfare queens, telling us that we need to take a look at what our values are. That is one thing that America does not
I'm
need.
British,
and I appreciate the fact that we have a. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What we don't need is we don't need other people. We don't need other people lecturing us about what our values are. That's the first thing that we don't need. Thank you.
$300 billion of money has been given over to Ukraine, when in reality, something like
from you.
the killers
And also don't need lectures from
don't talk over each other.
well.
All right, don't talk over each other. You've made your point, Rob. Let Mason respond.
Because the trouble is, we get a lot of sort of self-righteousness. We're getting a lot of ignorance actually from the Trump sort of administration at the moment. We've got to get a grip on reality. The reality is the US has not given $300 billion that Donald Trump has claimed. It's given something much more close to sort of $119 billion. Europe as a whole has given far more. Actually, not far more, but more than the United States in regards to aid to Ukraine. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to start busting some myths, and we actually need to start spitting some facts. Another big problem that we've got, and that I think is absolutely reprehensible.
So you're basically bringing out numbers here. I would like to know where these numbers are coming from. Because you can't just
I can say, Rob, I interviewed President Zelensky myself 2 weeks ago and crunched these numbers with him. And what is clear is they have not received, they've not even received nearly half the money that has been awarded to them from Congress. But the amount that's been awarded from Congress is actually about half the amount Donald Trump keeps saying. It's nearer like 160, 170 billion, not 350 billion.
With that? I want to make a point with that, Piers. And one thing when it comes to the amount of money that has been sent over to the Ukraine, there has been no oversight with this. It was a basically lawless Biden administration that was printing money and sending it over. There is no oversight to this.
Well, Rob, hang on, Zelensky, hang on. Zelensky made it very clear to me that it has all been audited, and he's very happy for anyone who wants to do another audit of it to come forward and do that. So let's be clear, that as I think Macer made a very good point there is a lot of bullshit swirling around about this war. A lot of figures are not the correct figures. Let me bring in Vinny. I want to bring in the other guests. Hang on, Rob. I'll come back to you. Got plenty of time.
Sure.
I want to bring in Vinny. Vinny's been waiting unusually patiently, Vinny, I have to say. So congratulations for your rare outburst of patience. Vinny, I want to play a clip to you, and I want to see how comfortable you feel when you hear the words of Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Let's listen to him.
Trump, he's a pragmatist. His slogan is common sense, of course, and everybody already sees that. A shift to a different way of doing things. But the goal is still MAGA. Make America great again. Make America great again. He's got a new cap now. Everything that Trump promised, he did. You see, this gives politics a lively human character.
Oh, now, Vinny, what's your response to that?
Hey, guess what? Common sense. Piers. The guy sounds like he's making some sense. Opposed to Joe Biden, because Piers, let me, and first of all, thank you for your service, Rob. I love you to death, and for the other gentleman, anybody that's served in our country. I'm a veteran as well. But let's get back to brass tacks. But this is all because of this last administration, and there's a contrast. Joe Biden was a doormat, weak, spineless, and everybody, including Ukraine, including everybody, walked all over us, okay? Besides Trump is a matador, okay? He's strong, and he's America first, and he doesn't play no games. And you know what, Piers, just really fast, I want to get to why. And I actually took notes. Piers, why is all this happening? Why are we where we are? NATO, why was NATO trying to expand the border when they promised not to all the way to Russia's border? Okay, why did Joe Biden invite Russia, and you guys can look at the clip, he invited them to do a minor incursion. He basically invited them to attack Ukraine. He said that to Putin. And you know what? And now, $350 million, you guys can fact check the numbers. I'm an American, okay, and I'm a veteran as well. I don't want $1, here's one, going to any country when we have United States veterans, me and Rob are the fortunate ones, that are dying in the streets, that are homeless. I go to VAs, of veteran hospitals. Piers, it will make you cry, the type of service that my brothers and sisters go through, that served and fought and are dying for this freaking country, right? And how many people have died in this pointless freaking war? Because you know what? Up here's this whole why. War is a racket, okay? All of this is just all about the money. And I want to know, what's the goal, Piers? Why are these people, these warmongers, they don't give a shit about Ukraine. They're just trying to mess with Putin because they want war with Putin. You know why? Which country has the most natural resources and minerals on the planet, Piers? You want to take a guess? Take a wild guess.
Where's Russia?
Russia, $75 trillion. It's all about the money. None of these people give a shit about the Ukrainian soldiers, Piers. Zero. And you guys want to talk about freedom? What's the conscription that's happening in Ukraine? I've seen the videos. They run up to men, sons, fathers, uncles. They grab them out of the street. They throw them in vans, and they put them in the front lines. Who's the dictator, Piers? That's a dictator. Okay?
All right.
And I'm not taking sides with Putin.
Okay.
Two things, Piers, can exist at the same time.
Quickly,
bad.
Vinny.
Putin's a bad guy, but this war is bullshit.
Okay. Batya, I'll come to you in 1 second. I just want Kira to respond to what Vinny just said.
It's very painful, and I just want to defend my countrymen, brave men and women
hurts. I'm sorry.
who are fighting for our freedom. Because, you know, we are a free country. We were free and we remain free. We have chosen to fight because we were brutally attacked by our neighbor, who just came in to torture, to rape, to kill, and we decided that we will not capitulate, we will stand for ourselves. And the world is watching, and the only thing that we are asking is to support us that we can end this war. We are capable of doing that. We were so clear.
You can't win the war. Hold on, can you win this war?
Absolutely. If you give us enough of the weapons and supplies, we can.
How much
we have gotten into the cursed region.
How many lives?
We have gotten into the cursed region because Russia is unable. Because Russia is unable to control their own territory.
You're not going to beat Putin.
We were able to do that, and we will continue doing it because we are fighting for our own freedom, for our ability to define our own future.
Then you should be mad at the people that want to push them into NATO.
Question.
Why?
Let me answer to what you have asked me, right?
Go ahead.
You want to hear the answer.
Yeah,
if we are talking about the money, right? So why is the pressure being pushed on Ukraine and not on Russian frozen assets? $300 billion right now in Belgium Euroclear. We are happy that Trump confiscates that and uses for whatever he needs. Why it has not been done? Why? If it's all about money. Why? I'm asking you, and we have no good answer to that.
Yeah, when your president
I actually agree those frozen assets should be used. Let me bring in Batya. Be waiting very patiently, Batya. Look, it's a very complex situation, this. You know, when Donald Trump said, I'll get it fixed in 24 hours, I didn't believe him. I don't think he probably believed that either. And I think he's inherited a horrible mess that he wants to try and resolve. Where do you think we are with this, and how achievable do you think it is that Trump gets peace? Actually, it could happen very quickly, it seems to me, if everyone is of the mindset he now thinks they are. Making America healthy again is all the rage at the moment. It might be time for you to take charge of your health, as I'm doing with Jacked Up Fitness. Diet and cardio are not enough. You need to do strength training to build up muscle and bone density while burning fat. The Jacked Up Power Rack Pro is an all-in-one home gym system that gives you a full-body workout in your spare room or garage. If you're new to strength training, they have a whole library of video workouts, so you can just press play and follow along. Jacked Up Fitness has sent a Power Rack Pro to RFK Jr.'s office in Washington, D.C. in support of making America healthy again. And mine is on its way too, and you'll see the gloating home gym selfies to prove it. If I can do it, you have no excuse. Visit getjackedup.com and use promo code PEERS to start your fitness journey and save 10% on your own. Jacked Up Power Rack. That's getjackedup.com, promo code PEERS.
Thank you so much for having me, Piers. Thank you so much to Vinny and to Rob for your service to our country. And I have to say, I'm very humbled and moved by, the voice of Ukrainians who want to be free, who want sovereignty and want autonomy. Unfortunately, you are the much weaker party in a conflict with a country that has nuclear weapons and endless cannon fodder. And we, as the United States, we can sympathize with what you are going through and also say, we have our own national interests, which are not aligned with yours. We helped a lot. We tried our best, and it is now time to bring the bloodshed and the hemorrhaging of U.S. tax dollars, whether it's $150 billion or $300 billion, to a close. And I'll say another thing. Yes, Putin is an autocrat and a dictator and a murderer, and Russia has legitimate security concerns. Those can both be the case. We've gotten into this situation where we cannot admit that Russia is allowed to have any kind of legitimate concerns. You cannot end a war if you go into it against such a strong opponent with that point of view. I'll just make a few more quick points. I think from President Trump's point of view, he desperately wants this to end. He sees this correctly as a proxy war that the Ukraine cannot win by itself and cannot even fight without our help. And he doesn't want to be in a proxy war. Pierce, you keep pointing out Donald Trump hates war. He wants peace. This is laudable and admirable. And I think what he sees Zelensky's move as being is 3 times President Zelensky refused this minerals deal, refused to sign it. He keeps asking for the kind of security guarantees that we only give NATO allies. Zelensky is trying to run a circumvention of NATO by creating a mini NATO between the US and Ukraine, and we will not stand for that. We do not want to be in war with Russia because that will be the end of the universe. That will be a nuclear war. And President Trump sees this very clearly. Yes, of course, from a moral point of view, Ukraine are the victims of a heinous, horrific attack on their sovereignty. But how do we end the bloodshed? There is only one way to do it, and it is a negotiated
surrender.
Peace along economic.
But we have given up. We have given up our nuclear weapons to you guys. We have given it up in 1994 for your protection. I'm sorry, but the American
people are done funding this war. That is the reality, and you have to accept it. We're
finished. We have given the nuclear weapons for your security guarantees. Are those not worth anything? We were supposed to be a nuclear state, and America, United Kingdom, and Russia promised that if we will give up our nuclear weapons, we will be protected. And so here we are right now at the point when people who offered and promised to do that right now are giving up and saying, so sorry that you have done this, so sorry that you're requiring security guarantees that we cannot give you. But this is the one thing that we didn't hear from Donald Trump. How can he make sure that Putin will keep his part of the bargain? We have seen by the fact since 2019.
I do think that is now the crux of this whole debate, which is what are the security guarantees going to be? Zelensky, again, when I interviewed him, made it clear that he doesn't expect to be given full membership of NATO. He almost conceded that point. He concedes the point that the current territorial situation, it is likely we have to freeze things on those lines. He didn't want to give up sovereignty, but he was trying to get it back politically later. But he accepts that we are where we are with the war. I thought he was very honest in my interview with him. But Rob, let me ask you about this. Part of all this, people are concerned that this is like a reshaping of the whole relationship between America, NATO, and Europe. And it was exacerbated by something that J.D. Vance said in an interview with Hannity. Let's take a look.
The if you want to actually ensure that Vladimir Putin does not invade Ukraine again, the very best security guarantee is to give Americans economic upside in the future of Ukraine. That is a way better security guarantee than 20,000 troops from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 or 40 years. The security guarantee and also the economic guarantee for Ukraine is to rebuild the country and ensure that America has a long-term interest.
Now, this caused a lot of outcry, not least in the UK, because obviously the two countries so far who've indicated they would send troops are the UK and France. And both of them have been heavily involved in military action with America, certainly within the last 30 years, Iraq, Afghanistan. A lot of outrage in the UK. Graham Stewart, an elected member of Parliament, said, "We have to consider the possibility that President Trump is a Russian asset. If so, Trump's acquisition is the crowning achievement of Putin's FSB career, and Europe is on its own." So, look, I don't think that is the case at all. However, was it ill-advised of J.D. Vance to use that phraseology about a random country which hasn't fought for 30 years, given the two countries so far that have said they'll put troops there, both have done so?
No, I don't believe so. And I think that the reason that so many people are shocked and outraged and all of this stuff. So I want to tell you, Piers, there's this circle that happens, all right? And we see it over and over again. This is what happens. President Trump actually stands up for America and American interests. If there's President Trump or his Vice President Vance or somebody that is supposed to speak for this country. So they actually stand up to American interests when the rest of the world is used to us being weak and, in Vinny's words, basically rolling over. Then there is all of this outrage from the usual suspects. There's outrage from people in these different countries. There's outrage from the people that want things to continue to be the way that they have been for the past 20 to 30 years that have gotten us into the geopolitical position that we are in right now. So there's that outrage cycle. And then what ends up happening is that what Trump says, or what J.D. Vance says, whoever the surrogate says, ends up being true, factual, and accurate. Think about the fact that, everybody was outraged about the Oval Office meeting with Zelensky about this mineral deal. And now Zelensky is all ready to sign this deal, right? So we see this over and over again. Piers, a lot of people are going to be shocked. A lot of people are going to be surprised. A lot of people are going to be outraged. This world needs shock and surprise and outrage from this country because they need to know that we are no longer a country that is just going to roll over for the rest of the planet. We are no longer a country that is just going to send hundreds of billions of dollars of our taxpayer dollars all across the world. It's just not going to happen anymore, Piers. And you're talking to somebody that is a fairly new Republican. Trump 1.0 is what brought me into the fold. So I can understand where a lot of Americans right now are frustrated with the status quo. So you're not talking to somebody that is just used to how things have been going for the past 20, 30, 40 years. I'm somebody that came into the fold back during Trump 1.0 because I knew that there needed to be a change in this country. So I am not shocked by these things. I am not surprised by these things. I am delighted by these things because your other guest made a analogy earlier. He said that Trump is taking a sledgehammer to everything. What has been happening over the past 20, 30, 40 years in this world needs a sledgehammer taken to it because we cannot continue to survive in this way. Not only can the world not continue to operate in this way, but I know certainly America, the country that I put on a uniform and fought for, the country that I love, the country that I've sacrificed so much for, and by the way, has provided me more opportunity than somebody who came where I come from could ever dream of. We are done with this. And it is time for a new America.
Okay, I mean, Macer, I could see you slightly grimacing as you heard some of that, but the reality is a lot of Americans do share that view now. They do look at the way that NATO is funded. They look at the disproportionate contribution that America makes. They look at the fact that most of Europe has been way behind on even its basic defense spending. And they think, well, if you're not even prepared to defend yourselves properly or stump up enough for your NATO membership, why should we keep bailing you out? I have a lot of sympathy with that view. What do you think?
I think Europe does need to spend more on its defense. There is some concerns that the Americans have always had that absolutely are justified. However, one of the points your guest made a second ago was that America is done being taken advantage of. And you're going to see a new face to America. What we're effectively seeing is a new policy of isolationism, a policy in Ukraine of surrender, quite frankly, whereby the United States, alongside its European allies, was supporting an innocent country that's been brutally invaded by another state. And for the minimal amount of investment, not only devastated that strategic enemy's military reserves, and actually they are now much weaker because of this attack on Ukraine, but did it at a very affordable price. There are much greater powers around this world, the rise of China, etc., that will also threaten the United States. Reagan said it best when he said, you can have peace tomorrow. All you've got to do is surrender. And the big problem I've got with Trump at the moment and his administration is that he's pursuing this goal of isolationism, of trashing relationships, long-standing relationships with allies such as Britain, France, Canada, Mexico, that will not only damage America's economy, but much more importantly, its soft power, its ability to exert its influence around the world, which is a major part of how they will counter the rise of countries like China. The big part of America, the future of America, is to show the world that liberty, democracy, freedom matter. And that the rise of China and the rise of Russia that want to pollute the world with their autocracy and their evil can be countered by America's history and its solid foundation. So that is something that I think Trump needs to remember, because at the moment we're going down a very bad path.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned China. Hang on, Batya, hang on. I'm going to come to you. Batya, hang on. I want to read a quote from the Chinese embassy in Washington today, which posted on X, if war is what the US wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. So there, a lot of saber rattling coming from China there in relation to, as Macer just pointed out. In that context, does that make you rethink slightly the way that Trump should be playing this?
First of all, your problem is not with Trump. It's with the American people. 78% of Americans want this war negotiated and peace right now. So that your problem is that Donald Trump is reflecting the will of the people, which I grant you is very strange for an American president. You know, certainly wasn't at the top of Joe Biden's agenda, but it is at the top of Donald Trump's agenda. When 78% of my fellow Americans want something, they should freaking get it. And that is what we're seeing right now, is the victory of democracy. You vote for a person, he does what you ask. Piers, to your question about Xi Jinping, it's a great question. You know, another autocrat dictator who somehow the Democrats have no problem making common cause with and capitulating to all the time. Guess who would be a really good ally in a fight against China? Russia. That used to be the Democrats' position. That was Barack Obama's position in 2012. And when Mitt Romney told him that Russia is the greatest geopolitical threat to the United States, Obama laughed in his face and said the 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back. We have actual enemies, and Russia is not one of them. That doesn't mean I approve of what they did to Ukraine. I do not. It does mean we have limited resources and we should be spending them where they matter. Donald Trump is not an isolationist. He has no problem fighting American enemies. He is just being strategic about who those are and who is a potential ally against people who are actually trying to destroy us, like China.
Okay, I want to give the final word on this part of the debate to Kira, because you and Mace will be leaving us, and we're going to continue with some American-related stuff afterwards, not to do with the war. So, Kira, just sum up for me. It's obviously a crucial stage of this war. What do you hope will happen now in the next few weeks?
Piers, I think we have been talking a lot about what would happen if the war ends or if Ukraine wins, and we have not been talking enough about what would happen if we lose. What would it mean to other enemies of the United States? Would it mean that Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran stop producing weapons and supplies and support other authoritarian regimes that will be raising their heads, creating much more threats everywhere in the world? We are talking about morals, we are talking about money, but we haven't heard any real answer to only one question that our nation that wants peace most of the world is, how do you make sure that Putin would not attack us again? And there is no answer. We didn't hear it from Donald Trump, from anyone here on this debate, because nobody knows, because there are many hopes, but there is no actually way of doing that. And right now, the only way that worked for us was fighting Putin, because we have been in this ceasefire deal with him since 2014. And I can tell you one thing, there was not a single day when Russia would honor this deal. And the world would look at that and say, yeah, sorry, it's so upsetting. So how this time will be different? And when we know the answer, then we can talk more about how to achieve that. But right now, we do not see even a strategy of how to make sure that right now, in a year, in 2 years, in 4 years, Russia would not attack us again with the whole strength, and not only us, but other European countries. And that is the key question.
I completely agree with you. I wouldn't trust Putin as far as I could throw him. He made it crystal clear when he attacked Crimea and took that, and when he's attacked now again and taken 20% of mainland Ukraine, that he will not stop. And anyone who thinks he will is living in cloud cuckoo land. Well, thank you to Macer and to you, Kira, for joining us about that debate about Ukraine. We're going to let you two both go. Now we're going to move on to some other topics. Andrew Tate appeared on the PBD podcast this week to talk about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, making it clear he and his brother Tristan aren't welcome in his state. Here's what Tate had to say in response.
It's quite unusual and quite scary for me to land as an American citizen, expecting a hero's welcome after dealing with a foreign and complicated judicial process, and being told that now the American state is going to be set on me, trying its very best to lock me up here when I've done nothing wrong ever. This is communism in and of itself. I may as well fly back to Romania.
Vinny, it's an interesting story, this. So you had these two brothers. I've interviewed them both, Andrew Tate, numerous times. They were facing extremely serious charges, including sex trafficking in Romania. But right at the moment, we were expecting them to appear in a proper trial. They've been allowed to travel out of the country, and they've gone straight to America. There have been calls from the UK to have them sent back to the UK, where they're facing other serious allegations there. But what's interesting is the way that Florida has responded. And on a wider point, the way the Republican movement has responded. A lot of Republicans absolutely gung-ho behind the Tates. A lot of Republicans very angry about the fact that any Republicans are standing behind them. You've been in the room with Andrew Tate for this big interview that he did with the PBD podcast. What is your view?
Well, first, Piers, I mean, listen, love him or hate Andrew Tate, you have to at least admit and respect the fact that this guy moves the needle, okay? From when he started, Piers, talking about masculine, men trying to be masculine, you know, talking to girls, being a man, trying to be the best that you could be. The moment, Piers, everybody was fine with it. The moment he started talking about the system, the same system that's been trying to destroy Donald Trump, the same system that shot Donald Trump in his freaking head and tried to kill him. This is just him in a different country and in a different way. Okay, Piers, I've hung out with this guy multiple times. He's not what the media says that he is. Has he messed up in the past? 1,000%. And if there's a crime, Piers, and you get convicted, go to jail. Okay, period. Anybody that's guilty, go to jail. For him to come here, he has a passport. He was born in the United States. For Ron DeSantis to last minute be like, hey, you know what? Don't come here. You're not welcome. What kind of authoritative attitude is that, Piers? And then I tried to think, why, Piers? Why would Ron DeSantis all of a sudden say, don't come here? The guy has a passport. He's from here. I think it has deeper implications. I think it's because his wife, Casey, is going to be running for governor, and they don't want anybody that's a male that's implicated in anything. But where's the crime, Piers? Like, DeSantis is about to act like, because I know there's like they're looking for them right now, or they're trying to put a crime on them. If that's not the same weaponization of the justice system that Biden was doing to Trump, then what is it? How are we different than these people? What did they do, Piers? It's different if you actually committed a crime, but looking for a crime to get somebody in jail is absolutely ridiculous, Piers. That's communism 101.
Okay. All right, Batya, your response to that.
I just can't believe a single person on the right would defend this degenerate, a person who has bragged about beating on women, bragged about trafficking them. He makes the left's case for it. You know, the left is out there demonizing men, demonizing masculinity. And then this guy shows up and says, I'm a real man. I beat on women. And the right is like, yeah, right on. This is a real man. It's disgusting. And I'm so proud of the American right because I've never seen a leftist have a sister soldier moment in the last 20 years and stand up to the extremists on their side. But I've seen so many people on the right, conservatives, saying this does not represent us. A man is a man who protects women. A man is a man who raises his children. A man is a man who makes people safe, like you both did when you served this country. You serve in the military. That's what makes a man. That's what real masculinity is, protecting and serving, not this disgusting degenerate who has bragged about beating up women. So yeah, I think the justice system should work fine. If there's a crime, they should prosecute. If there's not a crime, they shouldn't. We can all just say this person is disgusting and keep him away from my daughters and keep him away from my women. But I'm so proud that there were so many people on the right who stood up to someone who's ostensibly on their side and said, this is not what represents us.
But
Okay,
Pierre,
Rob.
can I just say one thing, though? Can I just say one thing really fast, Pierce?
Quickly,
and I
yeah.
understand the frustration, but where's the proof? He could have said anything. When Trump said grab them by the you-know-what, he didn't do it. This guy is just, like, you guys have to understand, Andrew Tate is a personality. I've heard the videos where he's jokingly around and people take it serious. Unless there's a victim, unless there's a girl that's stepped forward, which the ones that they brought up were told to go against him, okay? Because he's going up against the Matrix, okay? These girls have all come out.
Hang on, Vinny, hang on. To be clear, that's what he's told you, right? There is a lot of evidence there. Well, there's a lot of evidence that he was going to be held accountable over, which he now is highly likely to avoid being held accountable over. I've always said I don't know the truth about Andrew Tate. I do think he has a huge influence on young men, but I don't know the evidence. But I do know there are a lot of claims from a lot of women building up both in Romania and in the UK. Rob, over to you.
So I want to hop in, and I'm going to zoom out from the moral arguments about this entire situation right now. What's very interesting to me, and probably why Ron DeSantis has had such a hard time during the Trump 2.0 era, is how out of line with the vast majority of the Republican base they seem to be by sort of making this very firm public stance against Andrew Tate. And what I think that this really has something to do with, obviously, like Vinny said before, the rumor is that Casey DeSantis may run for governor of Florida. I've had dinner with Governor DeSantis and Casey before. Casey is fantastic. She really is. But look at the fact that Byron Donalds, who is big in Trump world, huge in Trump world, is also likely to be running for Florida governor. I believe that he announced, okay? So that is what really this is about. And I think that this is Florida politics at play here. And this is Ron DeSantis basically saying that we are going to be, Team DeSantis, now it's going to be Casey, that we are going to be the moderate Republicans, that we're going to be the quote-unquote good Republicans, right? And it's kind of positioning themselves against Trump 2.0 and positioning themselves against whatever Byron Donalds is going to bring to the table as somebody that's running for Florida governor.
Byron Donalds said the same thing. He came out against Andrew Tate today. So that whole idea that this is sort of dividing the Republicans in Florida is not correct. And I just totally disagree with you. Donald Trump is not an extremist.
You can disagree, and that's fine.
He is in the center.
But Batya, let me say something here. Byron Donalds is a politician, a great politician, but a politician. And so he knows that that's not something that he wanted to get in the middle of. But what I do know is that Byron Donalds is a great politician, and he knows that the vast majority of the MAGA base is going to fall in line with where Vinny is on this, Batya. And I'm trying to be as objective as possible here because, like I said, I don't like getting into moral arguments about conservative political figures or conservative commentators because I've been attacked by being gay, from people that are far to the right of me. So, I do not get into the moral majority stuff here.
Okay, I want to play, Vinny, I want to change topic and play a clip. This is from Ben Shapiro, who's come out and called for Derek Chauvin, who's serving life imprisonment for murdering George Floyd, of course, calling for him to get a pardon, something that Elon Musk says is an interesting thing to suggest. Let's take a look at what Ben Shapiro said.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges.
Vinny, what do you think of this?
Piers, by the way, came out of nowhere, and I think that's probably one of the dumbest ideas that I've heard in a long time, especially from Ben, who I think is insanely smart. Like, what? Okay, even if, Piers, and I've seen the coroner's report, and George Floyd died because he had enough drugs in him to kill all of us. Everybody in your studio, Piers, and everybody in my studio, and Robin and hers alike. But that's not the case. That type of attitude, if you look at what we went through BLM, okay? How many $2 billion of damage, almost 30 people killed. The whole country was on fire, and it helped Trump lose the election. For Ben to say something like that, I just want to ask, like, Ben, do you want civil war? Do you want Trump to lose? I don't. It's such a weird position for him to take, because only someone that doesn't like Trump, like, think about it, Piers, if they pardon him today, what does the country look like in the next 3 days, month, whatever? If you don't think George Soros and that freaking Antifa BLM arm is going to come out and burn this country even worse, you're insane. It's totally out of character. I don't understand why would he say that, and why would he want? I think that would seriously ruin Trump's presidency. So it's a weird angle from Ben that I don't fully understand. I don't know why.
Okay, Batya, what do you think of it?
Let me say this.
Okay, well, Rob, let's go to Rob first. Yeah, Rob, you go first.
Yeah, this is what I say, and I said this on X. The fact that this is a conversation that literally did not come up organically, that nobody was talking about, it seems to have come from the top down. Ben Shapiro is somebody with an enormous amount of influence in the conservative movement, and so I'm really questioning the motivation of having this conversation right now. Like I said, it seems something that is a top-down conversation and not a bottom-up conversation, which makes my spidey senses start tingling. Having this public conversation right now helps absolutely no one. And furthermore, let me make a point here. So Ben Shapiro is going to position himself as somebody who's done all the research, that knows this, et cetera, et cetera. The vast majority of the American people have not done enough research about that case to really have any kind of informed opinion on it. That's the truth, right? So now it provides Ben Shapiro the leeway to say, oh, trust me, I know what is right. I have studied this. I do not like it. My spidey sense is tingling. This doesn't help the Republican Party. This doesn't help Trump. I just do not know who benefits from having this conversation less than 2 months into a presidency that is already loathed by every Democrat and every liberal in this country.
Well, Batya, I mean, Elon Musk said it's something to think about. He responded to Ben Shapiro's post. Michael Knowles on this show has said he agrees with Ben Shapiro. What's your view?
I agree with the two heroes on this show. And Piers, I just love this show because you always manage to pick topics that pit us together, pit us apart, pit us together. Like, it's such a great show and everyone has such a good time on it. I'm with these guys. I think that this is such a huge mistake. And I think it's because of what we were actually disagreeing about before. The average MAGA voter is a normie. They're just a normal, average, good-hearted American. Donald Trump's agenda right now, every item has between 60 and 80% support among the American people. This is an unbelievably unifying moment. The State of the Union, the joint address he gave last night, 76% approval. I mean, people love what he is doing, and that includes millions and millions of Democrats. Donald Trump is basically a New Deal Democrat. He has taken over the government and is using it to bring back the American dream. It's an amazing unifying moment. And only the scolds in the Democratic Party and their, slaves in the media can't see it. And to me, I totally agree with Vinny and Rob. Why introduce something that is bound to be divisive, that was decided by a jury of our peers? It's not like the January 6th where the whole thing was politicized. There was a court case. I watched every minute of it. This is a moment for unity on the right. And so I totally agree with them.
Well, I think we may head to a second moment of unprecedented unity from an entire panel, because we're now going to finish by talking about Meghan Markle, my old friend, and her new Netflix series, With Love, Meghan. I've seen some brutal reviews in my time, Batya, but my God, The Independent called it queasy and exhausting. The Guardian said it was a gormless lifestyle filler. The Telegraph said it was an exercise in narcissism, saying Meghan invites people to her pretend house and they tell her how amazing she is. This happens for 8 episodes. And then there's this clip where she harangues one of her so-called friends for getting her name wrong.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now. You have kids, and you go, no, I share my name with my children.
Yes.
And that feels so, I didn't know how meaningful it would be to me, but it just means so much to go, this is our family name.
Now, Batya, I know you feel strongly about this. I just have to say, I come from Sussex in England. It's a county on the south coast. It has several million people live in it. I can tell you with some certainty, if you went round and chose 100,000 people from villages and towns in Sussex, have you ever seen Meghan Markle here in the county? You would not find a single person that has ever seen her there. It is reputed she has spent under 6 hours in the county in her entire lifetime. I was educated there. I have a home there. I grew up there. I've spent more time there this week than she has in her lifetime. And also, she's not a Sussex. She's a Windsor. You marry into the Windsor family. They got given this title of Duke and Duchess of Sussex by Her Majesty the Queen, the late great Queen. And my view is that because they've now renounced the royal family and attacked them and renounced the monarchy and stuff, they should have the title stripped. But that's for King Charles to decide. What is interesting to me is that this is the latest attempt for Meghan and Harry to try and move on from the only shtick they had in town, which is attacking their families. And this might be the worst attempt yet, because the reviews, even Variety, the sort of Hollywood Bible, absolutely hammered this. I tried watching it, and after, honestly, about 3-4 minutes, I was done. It was just unwatchable. Have you enjoyed any of it, and what is your view? Batya.
Well, I did. I watched the first episode so that I could speak, from a position of at least some knowledge. And I just sat there thinking, why does this exist? The shows it's based on are of women working, right? Women making a living, either as a lifestyle brand or as cooking shows or what have you. Meghan Markle is not working. She's pretending to work purely to get attention, to feed this bottomless need of attention. And I'll tell you the second thing I was thinking, Piers, I was thinking Piers Morgan must be feeling so vindicated right now, because you had her number from day one. Yeah. You had her number. And so I quite enjoyed that experience of thinking that while watching it.
Well, Vinny, I mean, it just struck me watching it. I watched a bit more than 3 minutes in the end. I watched the first episode just to try and get my head around this. It's just the ultimate kind of vanity project, where it's all about people telling Meghan how great she is, her telling everyone how great she is. It's not even her house. She's doing things like making coffee, making a basic cake. There's nothing to actually learn here. It's just a vanity project. And it's interesting to me that in Britain, they're incredibly unpopular, her and Harry now. I mean, the most unpopular royals, which when you think we have Prince Andrew, is pretty extraordinary to go under that bar. But in terms of Americans, I actually think most Americans now just think, I'm not interested. They're not even energized enough to be angry. They're just like, who cares about these idiots?
Oh, Piers, 1,000%. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, because I didn't know this topic was even going to come up on the show. I don't follow it. I don't listen to it. Just, how about this, Piers? Just that clip. This is the first time I'm seeing any piece of anything from, because, Piers, I'm not even joking. I feel so sorry for Harry. I'm going to pray tonight for that guy. Piers, oh my God. And think about this. Well, Piers, she must have the greatest, I don't know what she's doing to this guy. I don't know how good she is at whatever she does to make to denounce your freaking royalty. Are you freaking kidding me? I can't even believe that I'm saying this. Harry, he's a beta male. He should call freaking Andrew Tate and be like, dude, give me some advice. Help me. That guy needs freaking help. What the hell are we even talking about, Piers? Oh my God, my brain hurts.
Donald Trump called, when I interviewed him a couple of years ago about this, he said that Harry was the most pussy-whipped man in the world. I don't think he was far wrong. Rob, have you watched any of this?
I have not. You know, Piers, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I am completely indifferent to Meghan Markle. I am just not interested. There is nothing that is captivating about her. The story is kind of interesting, but this whole thing, I mean, God, man, watch who you marry. Who you marry is really, really one of the most important choices that you'll make in your entire life. And I don't think Harry made a good one.
And also, I think it's important to note that America has sent 2 women now into our royal family. The first one, Wallis Simpson, caused an abdication of the throne, and they left the country, and she took away our king. And the second one has now pulled a similar stunt with Prince Harry. So our message from the UK to America is we love you, we have a special relationship with you, we are allies, we are friends, but please don't send any more of your women to our royal family. Can we all agree?
I think we can agree on that one.
No more support.
We have agreement again. Unprecedented. Great panel. Thank you all very much. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical, and we couldn't do it without you.